What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel, Wealth Hacker Labs. This is the channel dedicated to teaching you new ways to grow wealth that is not taught to you in schools or by your parents. I'm your gracious host, Jeff Rose, and as you all know, we are in the midst of a financial crisis, a potential global recession, just so much fear, uncertainty, anxiety going on right now. But in these times, especially when it comes to investing and managing money, there are opportunities that we can make a little bit of money. There are ways that we can invest into ourselves, invest into different investments and set ourselves up for success. And one of the ways to do that, now for me, for those that don't know, I'm an online business owner, former financial planner, and one of the ways that has really contributed to my success is following the footsteps of other successful people. Mentorship, looking to others and seeing the path that they took to reach their success. And one of the easiest ways that you can make money investing into the stock market is just looking at what other successful investors have done or are doing. If you're going to start taking notes on what the successful investors are putting their own money into, then one of the easiest ways to do this is to see what are the billionaires buying? What are the billionaires investing their own money into right now? And this is nothing new. This has been going on for quite some time. I can actually remember back in the 2008 financial crisis when Warren Buffett, he wrote this opinion piece for the New York Times, and the title of that article was Buy American I Am. And in that article, Warren Buffett shared how he is buying $3 billion worth of GE stock. And at the time, he bought GE stock for $24.50. It was already down 33% from its high, but that was nearly, not even close to being at the dip. No, that stock ended up dropping 82% more, going down to a low price of $4.20. Now, fast forward several years later, Warren did not lose money on that deal. In fact, personally, he made over $1.7 billion of profit. So he made a wise investment. Now there's more to that because he didn't just buy common stock, he actually bought preferred stock that was paying a 10% dividend and ended up converting that stock whenever the price went up. So that's how he was able to make a lot of money. Now, the one thing you have to realize that anytime a trader or investor makes a large trade like this, they have to report this to the SEC, so it becomes public information. And what I'm going to share with you today are 3 stocks that other successful billionaire investors are placing right now. So let's go ahead and head to the screen to take a look. Now, I'm just going to share these 2 articles because I came across them doing a quick search for what billionaires are buying right now. And this talks about billionaire Sam Zell, who owns a private equity fund. Now, he doesn't actually share what he's buying in this article, but as you can see, he is putting a lot of money back into the market, taking advantage of these low dips. Another billionaire investor by the name of Mark Lasry, he's talking here about the stock plunge is a massive buying opportunity. Once again, he doesn't share exactly what he's buying in this article, but he is just sharing, once again, another billionaire investor is putting his money to work right now. So what stocks are billionaire investors placing right now? Well, I came across this article on The Motley Fool, which is sharing what some of these stocks are. And the first billionaire, well, we got talking about him again. We got Warren Buffett, the man, the myth, the legend, the oracle. And what is he buying right now? Well, recently, Warren took out a large stake in Delta Airlines. How big of a stock? Well, he bought over 976,000 shares of Delta Airlines for about $46.40. So that is one huge position that he bought. So why did he buy Delta Airlines? Well, it says Buffett has always had an affinity for value and the airline industry has recently been valued at exceptionally low. Of course they have, because nobody is traveling right now. But it says coupled with Delta's fairly consistent share repurchase program and what was at the time of purchase a 3.5% yield, it looked like a reasonably valued airline. Once again, Warren likes good deals. With that preferred stock deal with GE, it was paying about a 10% dividend. This obviously is much lower, but it still was paying something. So even if he's sitting on that money for a little while, he's getting compensated. All right, who's next? Who's the next billionaire investor? Well, you might know him as a loudmouth owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and his name is Mark Cuban. So Mark Cuban, he's more known as being an entrepreneur, obviously getting fined by the NBA for criticizing the refs and everything else. I really like him. Also like him on Shark Tank. But he recently reported that he bought shares of Live Nation and also Twitter. Now, it's not actually revealed in this article how many shares of each of the stocks that he bought. But, for a guy who's worth a lot of money, chances are he just didn't buy a couple thousand shares. So I'm sure he put a lot of money to work. All right, billionaire number 3 is Carl Icahn. And for those that aren't familiar with Carl Icahn, he is really known for the guy that tries to buy as many shares for a company that is struggling so that he can get on the board, so he can have influence and then force them to sell. Meaning that all his shares that he's buying are going to go way up. I mean, it's kind of shady, but it's also very respectful, especially when it comes across a company that he doesn't think is being managed very well. So recently, Carl Icahn revealed that he bought over 11.4 million shares of Hertz Global at an average price of $7.43 per share. He also bought 2.5 million shares of Newell Brands at an average price of $13.41 per share, and that was between March 9th and 11th. And once again, supporting his strategy here in buying up stakes of companies so that he can have his influence and also try to win seats on the board. With his recent Hertz purchase, he has almost a 39% stake in the company. Like, a sale's coming probably way after all the recession subsides, but nonetheless, that's what he's buying. Now, these are 3 examples of what billionaire investors are buying. Does that mean that you need to follow what they're buying and do just that? Not necessarily, because another billionaire investor, you might know him, his name is Jeff Bezos. He owns this little company called Amazon. Well, what is he buying? Well, actually, he's not buying anything that I'm aware of, because he sold off $3.4 billion of his Amazon stock all before the COVID-19 crisis hit. Now, for him to unload this number of shares, like, you can't just hit a sell button and it's gone, like log into your account. There is a process to go about this, and this is to protect all the different investors out there. So did he know that this was happening? I mean, that's one of those conspiracy theories that we can argue or talk about in another group. But nonetheless, by him selling when he did, he preserved, I don't know if it shares here, but I mean, he preserved a lot of money just by doing so. I don't know if that's over 120 billion. I'm just kind of glancing over the article here, but nonetheless, like him selling, a month and a half before everything really hit, that helped out a lot. Once again, this is not anything that he can just do right beforehand, but nonetheless, you have to ask, I wonder. So because he's selling Amazon stock, does that mean that you need to sell Amazon stock? No, because he actually still owns, about 12% of the company. He still has a huge position in his Amazon stock left. So don't think that he's getting ready to offload. Amazon's going down. But I just want to give this an example, because if you truly want to be successful, it is see what other successful investors are buying. Start doing your research, start asking around, because chances are you're at home right now, you're quarantined, don't have a lot to do. This is just one of the ways that you can do it. I'll have links to all these articles in the show notes so you can take a look. So yeah, hopefully you are investing. And the cool thing is you don't need a big chunk of money to invest all of this right now. You don't need to buy 1 million shares. I mean, you can open up a Robinhood account and you can buy fractional shares of each of these companies. And that way you can set yourself up. You can start off with as little as $100. You can actually start off lower than that, but you could take a $100 investment and buy fractional shares of each of these stocks, and you can invest like a billionaire. So anyway, I've got other videos on the channel you can check out to help you out along, because I want to make sure that you are investing for your future. All right, y'all, until next time, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and only you can make it awesome. Peace.